friends, welcome to another episode of Unmasked. I'm so glad to have you all here. So today we are talking about a very interesting topic. So if you've noticed, we've been on a journey of self, just talking about ourselves, how we are as an individual and all. So I was reading a bit and I came across a study done in 2019 that showed an estimate of 85% of people worldwide, both adults and adolescents, have low self-esteem. So low self-esteem has been linked to violent behavior, school dropout rates, teenage pregnancies, suicides, and low academic or work achievement. Apart from that, low self-esteem has been reported to greatly affect people's mental health and cause very serious issues such as clinical depression and anxiety. And to debunk this whole topic of, effects of self-esteem and how we can deal with it is a guest, a very amazing person, a marriage and family therapist, a child therapist as well. She's a trainer, a facilitator, a mental health developer. Her name is Rosa Sanau. Karibu sana, Rosa.
Thank you, Nyokabi.
And so we're going to be talking about the effects of low self-esteem and what we can do about it and what the effects really are, so that people can really understand. And when they see, this something is not right, they can, go forward and, we can advise on how to go about it. So the verse that is guiding us today is Proverbs 23 verse 7. And it says, "For he is the kind of person who is always thinking about the cost. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you." Proverbs 23 verse 7. So I think maybe we can start by asking, what are some of the signs of low self-esteem, or somebody who doesn't have esteem at all?
Thank you so much, Nyokabi. So one of the things that is a marker for someone who's struggling, I want to call it struggling with self-esteem, because really in my field we believe that, or we want to assume that no one has zero self-esteem, that you do not have esteem at all. It's either it's high or low, it's positive or negative, because we are saying that you have resources and you're potentially good. So even if you're struggling, it is something that there is hope for you to improve or build on. But one of the signs is the negative perception of self. How do you view yourself? How do you speak about yourself? How do you think about yourself? If someone compliments you about something, you are quick maybe to bring it down or to devalue it and say, no, you don't know who I am. I am not that smart. It was just by luck that I aced this test this time. So the negative view of self. And then also trying to please other people because I'm not comfortable in who I am. I assume that other people are better than me. So I always just want to go with the crowd, and I do not have a stand for myself, because if I don't believe in myself, I don't believe that I can make a good decision. So another sign is poor decision making or difficulty in making decision, because I don't believe that I can make a good choice or a profitable choice. So you will find that these are people who, what do you think, Nyokabi? What do you think I should do? What you almost even want to ask them, what do you think? This is your issue, or this is something that concerns you. So that, and then poor boundaries. They are unable to say no. They have difficulty saying no. They may just be a yes person, or they say no to everything because they are trying to protect themselves from being hurt. And sometimes a low self-esteem can be masked as a high self-esteem. Something that we call grandiosity. Have you ever seen people who they look like they're the life of it all, and they quote unquote they are untouchable? You cannot tell them anything, you cannot approach them, and someone may be saying, they have such a high self-esteem, they're so confident and bold, you cannot put them down. And sometimes it comes out even as arrogance, or they look like they'll stand up to anything, and it's beyond assertiveness. There is the part where I can speak up for myself and tell you, look, Nyokabi, I don't like what you did. And then there is the one that I'll just come and rough you up and tell you, you won't tell me that, and all of that. And so sometimes when I'm feeling so low about myself, I want to mask it so that I protect myself from you knowing that I really don't like myself. So I want to exaggerate it that I like myself, so that you don't come too close to me and hurt me. Because again, we want to see self-esteem as a result of a wounding somewhere, because we are all born wanting to be loved.
Wow, I've just realized I'm going to learn a lot. A lot. I used to think, growing up, I used to be like, oh, that person really has everything together. Some of us, we over here struggling to look at ourselves in the mirror.
Yes.
And it's been such a journey to even get to the point where you look at yourself and you're like, I look nice.
Yes.
So, okay. So what is the connection? Obviously, definitely now we can connect low self-esteem to now poor mental health. So what is the exact connection that we can say because of low self-esteem it has caused this?
So again, we want to look at low self-esteem, like we've said, as a byproduct of either how we have grown up, of affirmation. So for someone who lacked self-esteem, and maybe even just to cover it very briefly, some of the causes of low how did I get here that I cannot look at myself in the mirror and find something good about myself? So we trace it a lot of the times back to the people who spoke to us when we were younger, or spoke over our lives when we were younger. When one is used to hearing, you are stupid, you can never amount to anything, you keep doing things wrong. So over time, the you are becomes I am. So even after I leave that environment, I will start telling myself I am stupid. I am not good enough, because I had it, I internalized it like a computer program, and then I am just bringing it out. Like I think programming, they say garbage in, garbage out. So I hear it enough times, it becomes me. So now when you look at the connection between low self-esteem and poor mental health, is how we describe poor mental health is one of the things is that someone is not able to believe in themselves. They're not able to contribute positively to the environment and society, and that their functionality is affected. They're not able to reach their potential. Now, if I don't believe in myself, for example, maybe I have a natural gifting in music, for example, and you can see it. You can tell me, Rosa, you can play the guitar very well. You have a gifting in the art. But because I don't believe in myself, I will never pick up this guitar to play. And I will be trying other very many things to probably make money or advance in my career. But my real destiny or blessing is in playing this guitar. So I will sink into depression, for example, or unfulfillment of life. I'll be feeling like I'm not good enough. This life is not worth living. But if I believed that I am good enough and picked this, everything will begin to blossom up. So the connection is in the fact that when we don't believe in ourselves, we get stuck. When we don't believe we are good enough, and then if you struggle with self-esteem, you'll feel like I don't belong. So maybe we are here, but I'm feeling like, Nyokabi is judging me. No, she doesn't like me. See that she's looked at me, and probably you're not even
I'm not even there.
But the way I perceive, it's all about perception. You could be saying one thing, but I'm hearing a different thing. You could be looking at me in one way, but I am imagining my own things. And then I start saying Nyokabi hates me, so I'll never go back to that church. I will leave that church. Maybe you said something and it reminded me of something my mother once said when I was younger. And I took it, and it would even tell you how sometimes people take offense and you're thinking, I didn't say anything. And probably it was an announcement in the church or an announcement in the service, and this person disappears and never comes back because of how they see themselves and how they hear things from their window or ear of low self-esteem. So the connection between poor mental health is the fact that if I don't feel that I belong, that I matter, that I am loved, I will not want to be near people. I will isolate, or I will want to step over people to feel good about myself and show you that I have a high self-esteem. While in reality, I really don't like myself, and I'm forcing all of you to like me enough so that I can feel I am good enough. I think in movies, I'll give an example where you will see maybe a man or a woman telling their partner, tell me you love me, tell me you love me, tell me you love me. And they'll force it because they want to hear it over and over again to convince themselves, I am lovable. I matter. Somebody cares about me. So at the heart of low self-esteem is a need for connection, a need to be accepted, to be loved, to be appreciated. Human beings, like, you see, like the way a plant gravitates towards light, we gravitate towards validation. You want to go where you're celebrated. I believe if you're told, you're so bad, you don't do things right, you will not want to go back there. But when you're in a place where they tell you, I like how you speak, I like how you host this show, I like how you do this, you'll want to keep doing because what is appreciated, we produce more of it.
Yeah.
So when we are unable to do it for ourselves, first of all, it becomes a challenge to even hear it from other people. So with low self-esteem is we are unable to validate ourselves and tell ourselves, I am good, I am creative, I matter, I am loved. And then we are unable to hear it from other people. In turn, we are unable to give it to other people because I cannot give from an empty well.
Yes.
So we connect because there is no distinct connection, but we connect it to just how we function in our society as human beings, how we achieve our potential and walk towards our destiny, and even how we respond to our environment when we are in a crisis, when we are facing some change, a loss here and there. If I have low self-esteem, I really struggle with some of these things.
That is so interesting, because as you were talking, I just remembered I was watching an episode of Divorce Court, and I'm a fan of it, because the judge is Judge Lynn Toller. And one time she was doing this case, and she noticed that the plaintiff has a problem that is centered towards his childhood. And he really said, kids carry what she's, and I quote, nonsense from their childhood. You tell a child you're stupid, kids will carry that nonsense to their adulting. And until it's sorted out, it's going to be so difficult for this child to ever believe otherwise. It's going to, that was the beginning of everything. So maybe you can also highlight for us what are some of the exact mental health issues that people who have low self-esteem go through.
So they are a couple, because self-esteem is like fever. Low self-esteem is like fever. You know how fever is an indicator of very many things.
Yeah.
So in most cases, we just manage the fever, but we want to test and know what is the underlying issue with this fever, because a cold can produce a fever as well as malaria can produce a fever, pneumonia, TB. Anything can produce a fever. So with low self-esteem, it is like an indicator in very many mental illnesses or difficulties, because we may be speaking about eating disorders, various addictions. And here addictions, I want to specifically highlight gambling and social media. Some people use social media to run away from themselves. It's easy to focus on the outside because being me is too overwhelming. If I have to remind and sit with myself and remember how I don't like me, it's easier to focus on you and troll you. Because I don't feel so good about myself, it's easier to look at Nyokabi's picture she's posted and say, you look fat, you look like this. If I cannot appreciate me, so some of these things like cyberbullying are linked to things like negative self-esteem. We are talking about relationship difficulties. So you will find that low self-esteem is also an indicator in that, because now I don't like me. and then I have met you, Nyokabi, and we're supposed to be in a relationship. Even if not an intimate or romantic relationship, even if just friends. And maybe you tell me, you know, Rosa, that earring, you would have looked better in a dangling one. What I will be hearing, I hate you. You look ugly.
Yeah.
So what will I do? I will run away from you, and then I'll go and say, Nyokabi is such a terrible friend. You know what she told me? She told me I don't look good. And that will just break that friendship or relationship like that, and I will lose out on what I would have gained from that relationship. So you see, many relationships, because when I am confident and assertive about myself, I can tell you, okay, I liked this one better, maybe tomorrow I can, because I am hearing you for what you're saying. And even, for example, if someone is trying to put me down, I am able to assert myself and say, okay, I know you may be saying I'm ugly, but I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So I love me and I like me. I may not be as tall, as big, or as shapely as this, but I like me. I love who I am. So I'm able to do that for myself. So the relationship difficulties that we see in most cases, it is two wounded people coming together, trying to find healing in the other person, yet healing is a responsibility for me. You cannot build my self-esteem more than I can build it for myself. So for most people, and you will hear, it's I don't know if this will come out before Valentine or after Valentine, but you will hear, especially in this lovey season, people will say, you complete me. Because I have a low self-esteem, I am at -50. I need somebody else to come with the other 50 to feel, and yet the other one is also coming with their other 50. They also need me to give them mine.
Wow.
So now it is like a tussle, and you will hear someone say, I was not getting what I wanted. Of course you will not get, because they don't have. Nobody has your deficits. A relationship of whatever kind needs to be about two whole people coming together to complement each other. So where we are beginning to feel that you need to give, or I need to take, I need to question myself. How do I feel about myself in this relationship? So that is about relationship difficulties. And then general anxiety disorders. In bipolar disorder, we also usually peak low self-esteem when someone is going diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And then the saddest of it all is suicide, because when I constantly when it is recurring, I am no good. There is no hope for me. The pain becomes too much. The pain of being me and existing in my body that I don't like, in a life that I don't like, in feeling hopeless, like there is nothing I can do more. The only escape is to take my life. And I want to say, even when we help our friends who may seem to be to have suicidal ideations, they are not seeking for attention. They are not being stubborn, but suicide is an attempted solution to overwhelming pain. So even when a friend comes and tells you, I feel like I want to take my life, you need to find out what is the root cause of this pain. How are they feeling about themselves? Because in most cases, when I don't feel good enough, I just want to run and hide. And then when it's too much, I want to hide forever. And the hide forever is to take away my life. So we see that in low self-esteem, it is an indicator in majorly almost all mental difficulties, because you need you to be in your own life.
That's true.
So if you cannot handle you and cannot stand you, then you may be having a problem or a challenge in one way or another. Yes.
I think actually on that, I would also say, like, there's this thing that somebody said. Is it you're with yourself longer? Like, it's just you.
Yes.
When you're alone, when you go to bed, or like when you're living life, you're with yourself. And that's something I never realized, because it's, but we have friends, we have family and stuff like that. But technically, you find out that if an issue comes to you in this life, you're the one to tackle it.
Yes.
You're with yourself longer. So at least try and do something that will help you, you know.
Yes.
So when I was talking to friends and I was telling them that I'm going to come and do this shoot, some of them asked me a very important question that is actually really sad, because in this 21st century we're shouting, go and look for help, counseling, nini. Does counseling and therapy actually work? Genuinely, genuinely, does counseling, therapy, all these things, does it work?
And I want to answer that by first of all saying that it is a very valid concern for most people, because again, how was counseling introduced to us? When clients come to my sessions, the first thing I usually ask is, have you gone through counseling before? If they say no, I will ask, what have you heard counseling is? It's one thing to come to this room and to know it's labeled washroom, but I am coming to a very different thing. Or to know it is labeled this, and we perceive things very differently. So when I ask, some of them will say, I've always believed counseling is for mad people, because one of the institutions we've had for mental illness is Madare, sadly, and it was brought out as for people who are completely unable to function, people who've lost almost all of their cognitive ability, what is labeled crazy. And so when people hear counseling, they say, I don't have a problem. And counseling is not for people with problems. Because we say, even going through a major change, say for example, I am moving countries. That change needs me to work with someone who may help me to see some of the challenges I may go through and just weigh them out. So even in the definition of counseling in itself is a professional relationship where the therapist and the client work together, so it's a team. So no one is coming to tell you, do this, Nyokabi, do this, go and tell your father ABCD. No, we're not giving you solutions, because again, you'll see when people ask, does it work, is because I want a solution. I want you to tell me what to do, like the way a doctor will tell me, go and buy Piriton. So the client and the therapist work together. It's a team towards exploring the issues that the client come with, and then to support the client make decisions for themselves. So when you come to the therapy session, what I am doing is offering support, facilitating and challenging you to make the decision for your own life. Because again, you're the one in your own life. You understand your situation better.
It is you.
If I tell you, go do this, if it backfires, you will say,
Rosa,
yes, she told me to leave my partner, or she told me to leave that course and do this other one. So if it fails, you will blame me. So we don't advise give. So to your question, does counseling help? I want to say therapy works if you work. Therapy is hard work. Not to scare anyone or to deter anyone from coming in, but that as you come in, that it helps when you take personal responsibility over your life. So that when you're coming in knowing, I have come in as Nyokabi, I have an issue in ABCD, and I want to change. I want to find a solution for myself. So you're the driver. Me, I am a tour guide reading the map and just saying, you're driving, there is a road here. Would you like to take it or take the other one? So you choose, because you're the driver, let's take this one.
Okay.
Yes? So the counselor is not coming to solve, to instruct, but rather to guide, support, facilitate, and help. So the bulk of the work is with you, the client, to come in and take charge of your life, having support. Counseling is just about support, encouraging you and telling you, I believe in you. Those things that you never had, I am able to affirm you. And as we affirm you and also work on the quote-unquote things you carried from your childhood. We are able to work and say, you can undo this, I believe in you, you're doing well, keep going. I'm like a cheerleader and a coach to facilitate, and a farmer to dig out. but you do the work.
I've never had counseling being explained like that. I think counseling has just been one of those things that you go talk to somebody. I think how I've had counseling is you go and release. That's what I've had.
That's you just part of it.
Just go, talk, and leave, whether it works or not.
Therapy is work. That is the basic. The talk release is usually the basic, and in most cases may happen in the first 2 or 3 sessions where you just talk about it and talk. And then now, I usually tell my clients, now we get to work. When you are talking about it, I am gathering information and you're releasing emotion. Then we get to the point where, number one, when you come to therapy, we set goals. So we're not just aimlessly doing things here. I know after this you will want to go for therapy.
Yes.
Just to experience what it's about. But really we set goals. We have a treatment plan. So when you come in, I will ask, so Nyokabi, what brings you to therapy? After you say and say and say, then I'll ask, what do you want to get out of this? Give me 3 things you want to get out of this. So we want to set goals. We want to set a roadmap of where we are going. So that when we are getting to session 2 or 3 or 5, as I am taking you through, I know Nyokabi said she wants to go to Mombasa. So I have no business taking you to a road that leads to Kisumu. I know you have said your desire is to go this direction. So that as we go on, even you can assess and say, is this therapist helping me? Because the goal was this. Am I getting closer? I am also able to give you coping skills, techniques to teach you behavior. Because we say behavior is learned. Everything you're doing is learned, can be unlearned and relearned. So I'm able to begin to look at what sort of behaviors do you need to unlearn? What are some of the behaviors, healthy coping mechanisms, instead of running to social media or taking that beer or cigarette? What are some of the things you can begin to learn to help you cope and feel better about yourself? So counseling, we set goals. We have a treatment plan. We have assignments. In session, we do have assignments. I'll ask you, go journal about this. Go do this exercise. Do this exercise. Give me feedback. So when you come in the next session, I'm asking, tell me about your week. Did you go through what we were to go through? Were you able to journal? Were you able to think about this? Reflect on this. Do this exercise. You're giving feedback. Then we debrief it. So it is not like just come, let's do a chat, feel nice, encourage you, smile and go. But it's a work. And that's why I'm saying it is a hard work. Sometimes you'll actually feel physically tired because emotional work, just doing the work of the emotions, can fatigue you physically. Sometimes you'll come out of the session and you just want to sleep. Or you just want to cry. Or you just want to rest. You feel that every part of your body is tired. Some people will even diarrhea or have stomach upsets, migraines, depending on what we are dealing with. Yes, because it is work. It is physically taxing to deal with emotions. And so when you're going through, when you're thinking about does counseling help, you're thinking about a carefully laid out system and plan of techniques and skill. It's not like I'm coming to tell, even me, I did this, by the way, try, it will work. No, you're coming to a professional who's learned, schooled in that. They're not using their own experience.
Okay, wow. Hey, wow, me, I'm shocked.
You want to go for therapy?
Yes, now I want to go for therapy. Now I want to experience it, even if like I feel like I don't, it's not my feeling about it. I don't have issues.
I hear you.
It's just, that's so interesting. I've never, it's that I'm young. I feel like I've never heard about therapy like that. Anyway, so as we close finally, so what is like the one thing you can maybe advise young people, because not everyone has maybe the resources and the finances to go for therapy. What can you tell this young person who's really struggling with low self-esteem to maybe practice or take practical steps in trying to work towards healing or helping them basically in any way, shape or form?
There's something I want to debunk about therapy being inaccessible. While I do agree that the costs can be limiting for some people because of the cost implication, but there's a statement I hold dear, and I have seen it work. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Okay.
So there is something about when you desire something, the universe and God just aligning things for you to make it possible. Yes, such that sometimes you will even find that there are institutions that offer free therapy. Maybe that people are not aware of. Yes, so that is it about the aspect of counseling and just debunking it so that people don't shy away from that. Ask around, say I need to see a therapist. What can you do? Sometimes, like my farm does have a CSR allowance, such that in every period of time we are taking clients on pro bono basis because we accept and acknowledge that there are people who are not able to get therapy. But what else can you do? We live in a very advantageous kind of era.
Yes.
There is the internet, there is Google, and there are books that you can read to help you improve yourself, talk to yourself, and listen to shows like this that can give you tips and coping skills. Number 3, the other thing is begin to introspect. Begin to ask yourself, now that I think ABCD about myself, because my brain is a supercomputer, who programmed this that I talk about myself?
Who put it in?
Who put it in? Then I begin to ask myself, now because they were saying that when I was very young or when I was at this place, was it about them or about me? Many of the things you will discover that we carry, that people say to us, it was just about them. It had nothing to do with us. They hurt us because they were hurt people. And so you realize that you're carrying things that don't even belong to you.
Yes.
So introspect and look at that. But the other thing is affirm yourself. A simple exercise is take 5 things you like. Stand in the mirror and just look at your body. 5 things that you like. I like your eyes. Speak into the mirror and call your name and say, Nyokabi, I like your eyes. I like your ears.
We like it.
You know, I like how your hair is short. It is cheap maintenance. You know,
Be specific.
You're very specific. You're doing that as a daily exercise. I call it the mirror challenge. I encourage my clients to do that, and it really works. That every day, especially for people who have to get out of the house daily, one of the things you have to look at yourself in is a mirror. Ata kama it's the one for on the street, the bank window that you just go past and you look at yourself. But you have to look at yourself. So take that, affirm yourself, speak to yourself about something that you like about yourself. Acknowledge your weaknesses. Own your ugly and bad parts. There's nothing wrong with that. There are difficult places to clean in your house, I assume. That place, that corner in the house that you just know, this place gets dirty very fast and it's difficult to clean. But does it make the whole house bad?
No.
Does it make you want to do away with the house?
No.
You just know it's that part that needs extra attention. So know that your weaknesses, your flaws, may be that part that needs extra attention, but it doesn't make you as a whole person bad. It doesn't. And some people may never like you. You're not money. You're not an essential commodity. So just accept that there are people who will never like you just because you exist. But there are people who love and appreciate you. And at the very least, even you need to like you and appreciate you. And so you learn to live with yourself, appreciate yourself, find things you like, hobbies you like, engage in that. And the more you do that and appreciate yourself, the environment you're in thrives and suits you to continue now building up on your esteem, and also seek help.
Seek help.
Have a social support system.
Wow, my head is open. My mind is wide. Even me, I've learned. I hope you've learned something. We'll try as much as possible to put your contacts down in the description box below. And we'll also try and put any other resources that can help you in terms of counseling, free counseling, and contacts down below. At least it will be useful to you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Nyokabi, for having me.
I've been your host, Nyokabi. I don't even have much to say, honestly. I feel so empowered. I feel knowledgeable. And yeah, like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't be selfish with this video. Please share. Yes. Yeah. And subscribe and like and comment. Let's continue the conversation down in the comments. And I hopefully, by the grace of God, we'll see you the next episode. Bye.
Cut.
Wow, I feel so smart.